so I'm going to be canning zucchini pickles. This is going to be water bath canning. And into this recipe, most people don't have as many zucchini as this, or maybe you do, because when the squash and zucchini come off, there is a lot. So, but of course this is more than 2 pounds, but for the recipe, you can double it. And so the first recipe, you can start out with 2 pounds of zucchini, which is about 8 small. Now everybody's zucchini is different sizes, so I really don't base it off on that. I look at the quantity of how much zucchini I do have, and as you can tell, the zucchini is really coming off. Now you can make these into spears, like pickle spears, but I like to cube mine. So that it fits more easier into the jar, and it actually makes it easier for canning. So if you're going with a small recipe, you'll use 2 pounds of zucchini, which again is like, and it's going to be sliced, and you can actually take it and just slice them. So, but I choose to kind of cube them a little bit, big cubes. So you have 2 pounds of zucchini sliced, which is about 8 small. You can add onion or not add onion. I'm going to be adding some onions, and since I have a good quantity here of zucchini, for 2 pounds of zucchini, you would add 1/3 pound of onion, quartered. I'm just going to grab me an onion about this size. This is one of the onions I grew. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dice it up in small pieces. You don't have to have it in quarters. You can do it in quarters. Quarters will make it look pretty. However you decide to do it, whatever is the easiest is what I would recommend. So then my next step is I'm going to slice up this onion here. For the 2 pound recipe, it's about 1/3 pound onion, quartered and sliced, which is about a small onion. And then after that, we're going to be adding the canning salt. Now with 2 pounds of zucchini, you will be using 1/4 cup of canning salt, and then you'll be using 2 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of mustard seed, 1 teaspoon of celery salt, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 3 cups of vinegar. And then what you're going to do with that, you're going to combine the zucchini and the onion. You're going to sprinkle the salt all over it, on top of it. You're going to add cold water, and you're going to cover it. I like to put a plate over mine. I'll have to get a bigger bowl here. Put a plate over mine so it can hold the zucchini up under the water mixture. And then you're going to let it stand or sit in the refrigerator for 2 hours. Now, I like to put mine in the refrigerator. You can let it sit outside and let it sit there for 2 hours, but I think vegetables stay more fresh sitting into the refrigerator. So that's what I'm going to be doing. If I can't get to the zucchini, this mixture, I put it in the refrigerator, put that plate over it, put it in the refrigerator, and then do it the next day into the morning. That way the canning salt has got into the product, got into the vegetable, and it's nice and cold. After the 2 hours, or like you're going to do like I do overnight, if I have time, I can go for the 2 hours. You're going to combine the ingredients, the remaining ingredients, and you're going to bring it to a boil. And then you're going to pour this vinegar mixture over the zucchini and the onions and let it stand or sit for 2 hours. And you're going to bring all the ingredients to a boil and reduce the heat and simmer 5 minutes. And then you're going to take and pack the hot zucchini and the onions, the hot zucchini, into a liquid, and the liquid, because you got it boiled, into the liquid, into hot jars. And you're going to be leaving 1/4 inch headspace. Now normally it's 1/2 inch headspace, but in this recipe we're going to be going 1/4 inch headspace. Then we're going to remove the air bubbles, adjust the cap, the top, the rings, the lid, wipe off your jar, and then put your ring and your lid and your ring on. And then you're going to process it for 15 minutes in boiling water canner, the boiling water canner. And we'll see that. I'm going to walk through this step, and I'm going to walk through the process of how I do with this amount of zucchini. So one of the things, I'm not sure if I said it or not, but once you let it stand or sit for 2 hours, like I will be putting mine into the refrigerator, or let it sit for 2 hours, then you want to drain it, and you're going to rinse it and drain it thoroughly. You're basically going to get as much water out of that. It's just, that's canning salt, pickling salt, is going to help it preserve. So I think the preference of this is, as far as cutting your onions, is whatever you decide. You can cut them lengthwise, make them beautiful. Basically, my object here is that these will separate and just get into the jars. I mean, you can cut them in strips like that. So we're going to take our onions, randomly just kind of divide it up. At the very end, it'll all be the same. If I had to take 2 bowls, because our next step is to take and pour cold water over this, and then we're going to put a plate over it to hold the vegetables down. But before we do that, we're going to put our pickling and our canning salt. We're going to just sprinkle it, pour it over it, and then we're going to put that cold water. Now, salt doesn't have an expiration date on it. It doesn't go bad. So if you get chunks like that, just break it up. Hit the bag on the side of the counter. To mash it. It'll usually come up, because once this water is poured over this anyhow, it's going to just melt this salt. So we're just going to sprinkle this over it. Now, if you're only using 2 pounds of zucchini, then you'll be using 1/4 cup of pickling salt. But since I have a lot here, and then we're going to rinse it, I'm going to be using 1 cup of pickling salt. So now we're going to take this cold water, and we're going to pour it over it. I like to, this picture here holds 2 quarts. And before I add any more, see if I need to add any more, then I like to also take and kind of mix this up a little bit. Make sure that salt just not laying on top. And we'll do the same thing with this one right here, because it will lay up on top. And we want to be sure it gets in there and gets dissolved, melts, because this is going to help preserve this zucchini. Now, I'm looking at this. I don't think I need any more water. I might, we're going to add just a little bit more water. So how I know that I need water is because I want to make sure this is submerged up under. So when I lay that plate up under there, I want to make sure these vegetables are submerged up under there. Got some movement. We're going to take this. We'll just set this plate on top of there. That's going to keep those vegetables up under this mixture here. Alright, that's good. Now this is going to be setting for 2 hours. Now my method is also, if I can't get this to the next step, I put it in the refrigerator. It's going to be cool. It's going to help the zucchini be more crispier, but I can do that the next day. I'll just take and put it in the refrigerator. But if not, if you're not going to do it, put it in the refrigerator, then you're going to let this sit for 2 hours. Now I'm going to be coming from the Ball's Blue Book. This is the older book, Ball's Blue Book. If you can find it on Amazon or at a bookstore, it's a really good canon book. It's more older, it's more simpler. When you look through this book right here, you feel like you want to can everything. So let me show you what's going on here into the kitchen to have these zucchini pickles. So here is my zucchini. I have yellow zucchini and I have the green zucchini from the garden. And the book calls for it to make them into slices, but I like to make them into quarters, different size quarters. I find out that does the best. And you see the onion in here.
So I've already combined the zucchini and the onions, and before that we had placed all this into a bowl and sprinkled salt on top of it. Now I'm going to be customizing my recipe, but let me show you the recipe, which is a small recipe, so you can try. Okay, this is zucchini pickles, and I'm going to take a screenshot, and but this is a small recipe. Now I'm going to be customizing it, so I've had to figure out, what ingredients, how much ingredients I do need. So you see here it calls for 2 pounds of zucchini. Now I've estimated mine to be about 5 pounds. And you see it calls for 1/3 pound of onion quartered and sliced, which is about 1 small one. And 1/4 cup of canning salt. Now I have about 5 pounds of zucchini, and so I've used about 1 cup of canning salt. And then you see it calls for 2 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of mustard seed, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 3 cups of vinegar. And we see that it says combine the zucchini and the onions, sprinkle with salt, add cold water over to cover, and then I put a plate on top of mine to hold the zucchini down up under the water and let it stand for 2 hours. Now I let mine stay in the refrigerator overnight, get good and cold, and then I take it out the next day. And then it says to drain, rinse, and drain thoroughly. So that's where we're at with this right here. It's been sitting here draining. So I had a large bowl. I had all the zucchini in a large bowl, poured the salt over it, took water, poured it over it, and then took a spoon and stirred it up to get that salt good and mixed up. And then I took a kitchen plate and placed on top of it to hold the zucchini down. This is my recipe I came up with, 5 pounds of zucchini. So I'm going to be using 5 cups of sugar, 4 to 5 teaspoons of mustard seed. Now I use 4 because I don't like a whole lot of mustard seed. 2.5 teaspoons of celery salt. And when I looked, I didn't have celery salt, so I combined celery seeds and plain salt. Measured that out because it's going to cook down. And then it says I put down 2.5 teaspoons of turmeric and 7 cups of vinegar. Now going back to this recipe right here with the 2 pounds zucchini, the small batch. Then once you let it drain off very thoroughly, and what you're going to do is combine the remaining ingredients and bring it to a boil. Pour vinegar mixture over zucchini and onions and let stand for 2 hours. Now, anytime it says to let stand for 2 hours, I sometimes will put it in the refrigerator until the next day or a couple hours or so later. Basically, that's just to let it get cold. And then it says to bring all the ingredients to a boil, reduce the heat, simmer 5 minutes, pack hot zucchini into liquid into hot jars, leaving 1/4 inch headspace. Now, see that 1/4 inch headspace, not 1 inch. You're going to remove the air bubbles, adjust the 2-piece cap, process for 15 minutes in a boiling water canner, which yields about 4 half pints. Over here, I've already got my canner sitting here warming up. It won't be long. It'll be ready. It'll warm up enough, and I'll turn the heat up so that it'll be good and hot for those jars. Over here, I've got a pot ready, and I got 7 cups of vinegar in there. So I have 7 cups of vinegar in there. I have all my spices in here. I got it all mixed up, which is 4 teaspoons of mustard seed, 2.5 teaspoons of celery seed, and plain salt. The reason I use the plain salt is it can turn the jars inside a different color, but here in this recipe it has turmeric, and so turmeric puts out a color on its own. See the yellow in there, so you won't even see it. So you can use just regular salt if you want to, but I just like to use plain salt. And so then I've got 2 1/2 teaspoons of turmeric. And of course, then the vinegar's in there. So I'm going to go ahead and pour these spices in here.
Then I got my 5 cups of sugar. And this is where we want to make sure that we keep it stirred. We don't want the sugar to burn. Whenever I do a recipe like this, then I keep it in there because I don't make small batches. I'm always making big batches. So really before it even gets started, I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. And I'm going to turn it up to about 7. You see, with using the mustard seed, it really doesn't matter because we're pickling. And that saved me a trip to the grocery store. Now, you could use, as you use celery seed, you could use garlic salt. I mean, not garlic, celery seed. Celery salt. You can use garlic salt if you like it a little bit more spicy. You could use other seasonings. You can substitute. Whenever I'm making pickles, some type of pickles, usually it has mustard seed into it. So we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to reduce the heat and let it simmer for 5 minutes. And then we're going to pour it over our zucchini. Just be sure to keep this stirred so that the sugar in here won't burn. So basically what we're doing here is making a syrup. So our ingredients have come to a boil, and so what we're going to do is take these ingredients here and pour it over our zucchini.
So it already looks beautiful. Now what I'm going to do, because you see how the zucchini is sitting on top, the point of this sitting into this is get that flavor into the zucchini. I'm going to take this plate here and mash that zucchini down like that. And we're going to let it sit there for 2 hours. Now I'm not going to put this in the refrigerator. I'm going to let it sit there for 2 hours, and then I'm going to come back in here and we're going to start the next process.
So here we are 2 hours later. Now we're going to take these ingredients, put it in this pot, bring it to a boil, cut the temperature down, and then simmer. Now we're going to pack our hot zucchini and a hot liquid into our hot jars. We're going to put it in there. And we'll be leaving 1/4 inch headspace. Now 1/4 inch head space is going to be going up to that next. There's a ring here on the jar, and there's another one. It's right before the lid. That will be the 1/4 inch head space. Then we're going to take and wipe our top off here, top of our jar, and I'm going to be wiping with vinegar.
Ouch, that's hot. Well, let us not forget to debubble. Because when you debubble and the air comes out, then it has a tendency, the liquid has a tendency to drop a little bit. Sometimes it can drop a lot. It depends on how much air is in there. Let's drop just barely anything. Then we're going to wipe our top off. We're going to put our lid and our ring on. We're going to finger tight, and that is hot. And we're going to set it over here by the canner. And then when I get all the jars filled, all this zucchini into the jars, then I'll be putting it into the water bath canner. So we're going to get that hot. Hotter. It's hot. We're going to go ahead and get that going. Now, what I got to do is go over here and grab another jar. I'm using my electric canner to heat up these jars because I can get all my jars in there. And then with the electric canner, you put water in there, and then you don't dump that back into the canner. You take and dump that into the sink. Now when I'm dumping this in here, when I'm filling this jar up, I'm also getting the liquid. Now I'm not filling the zucchini up to 1/4 inch. I like to put the liquid 1/4 inch. Because as it's processed and then it sits a couple of days, then the seasoning, the ingredients is going to get into the zucchini really good. Now, I'll go ahead and continue filling the rest of these jars. It's hot. Isn't that pretty? The canner over here is definitely ready. So I'm going to grab another jar, fill the rest of them, then we're going to put them into the can. So we're going to be processing them for 15 minutes. Tomorrow, I'll be doing a taste test because if this one right here it's not completely filled up. Perfect.
hear it rumbling in there. All right. Timer is started. I saved a little zucchini. I haven't tasted none of this. I saved a little piece of the zucchini, so I was just curious on how it tastes. It's good, but I know it's going to be better tomorrow. And it's even going to be even better. Give it 3 or 4 days or a week, 2 weeks, and that flavor is going to set into that zucchini, and it's going to be awesome. So now we're just going to wait for that timer to stop, and then we'll take these jars out of here and set them over here. Let them cool off. Leave the rings on them until, you know, it'll start. Once we set them over here, the lids, it will seal. We'll hear a ping, and tomorrow we will, some point in time, we'll give probably 24 hours before we take those rings off, and then we'll wash these jars up. We'll take and wash them up because that sugar, you know, get anything off of it, clean those jars up, and then we'll date it, and then they will be ready for storage. So my estimate came out pretty daggone good. Not much liquid left. I don't want to pour it too much. I don't want to pour this sticky stuff on the floor. But that's really good. I don't have that much left in here. Just estimating my measurements, my ingredients to make this brown. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you so much. I really do. I appreciate you so much. So we have zucchini pickles here. Very, very good so far. So tomorrow we'll do a taste test and reveal how good this is. So now we're ready for our taste test. It's been about 3 days and I had one jar that did not seal. So what I did is I put my little plastic lid onto there, and then I put it into the refrigerator. I find out if you let it sit for a couple of days or a week or so, then the seasonings has a tendency to get into your product. And so I have yellow zucchini and I have green zucchini in here. It's good. I can find a green zucchini. The green zucchini's at the bottom. I like this. It is different. You can't get this green zucchini. I guess that was, here's one right here. It is different. I might get this mustard seed. But I do like it. I would definitely be doing this again. For the fact that summertime is always a lot of zucchini, a lot of squash, you know, and you're always trying to figure out what to do with it, because if you're getting a lot off, then just cooking it is not going to be enough. Or I don't really like throwing my stuff into the freezer either. And I'm always coming up with different ideas on what to do with the product. Good. Very good. I like this. Maybe I like it because I'm not a dill pickle person, but I do like this. and I would definitely be doing this again. So give it a try. You know, if you had a few zucchinis laying around, then give it a try. You might find that you do like it, and I will be doing this again. This is very nice. I like the texture of it. It's not, say, too soft. It's not like crunchy, which I would like it crunchy, but I really do like this. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on to the next video. Zucchini pickles. Awesome. That is awesome. Gotta do it again. Gotta give myself another taste test. I could see this if you was cooking something other and you want a little bit of sweetness and a little tangy, sweet tangy. Maybe you've got pork chops or steak or whatever in your vegetable, then have this sitting on the side. I think it'd be awesome. See you on to the next video.